And we are live. What's up, beasties? It's me, it's Triple B, your friendly neighborhood bearded book beast. Welcome back to another episode of Beast Friends Forever, late night style. That's right. We are here at 10 o'clock. Thank you all for staying up and being here. I appreciate it. And for those of you that couldn't and you're on the replay team, I appreciate you too. But we have got an awesome guest tonight. This is Mount Rushmore for me, getting this guest, an amazing author that writes amazing books. You can see them behind me, but also someone who is just hilarious with his social media, who makes us laugh, makes us cry, amongst other things. And I'm talking about an awesome author, but also an awesome supporter of so many in this community. I'm talking about the man, the myth, the legend, Andy Peloquin.
I was thinking as I heard that introduction, I was like, how do I get myself a really cool nickname like Triple B? Do you give that to yourself, or does the audience give it to you? Do you have to apply for it somewhere?
I actually gave it to myself. I thought about I've always been big with alliteration because I always loved comic books growing up, Peter Parker and all that kind of stuff. So then I thought, I have a beard, I like books, and then I thought beast, and then I actually grew up a big wrestling fan, so I like Triple H, and then I thought of how DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, would always say, it's me, it's DDP, and then it all just happened like that. And then it stuck. And then, like, most people don't even know my actual name because I always just say Triple B or whatever. So
that's very cool. I'm very jealous. Like, I'm just Andy, I'm okay with it. I've lived with that name for a while now, so I'm settled into it. But really, for all the people out there watching, if you can think of a really cool nickname for me, like Triple B, hit me with it because I'm game.
We're gonna come up with one. We're gonna fight. We're gonna figure it out. We got a lot of people in here already. Packed house to see us. Let me shout out some people. We got Mr. Roro has to kind of watch the replay and go, but thanks for being here, man. We appreciate you. Mr. John A. Douglas is here. He really is telling me how tough it is to nail you down for an interview. You're a busy man.
I wish I was less busy. I really could use some less busy in my life.
Right.
I stay out of trouble.
Man. Hey, that's good. That's all that matters. Tim is here. Tim McKay. What's up, Tim? Yes, Andy is the king. Ooh, okay. We already got half the nickname, King.
What
can we do with that? We got to think about it.
We'll come up with something by the end of this.
Oh, yes, we will. We will. Cinna is here. What's up, Cinna? How's it going?
Thanks for being champion. Here.
Yes. She is the best at audio, man. She reads so many books. It's amazing how many books she reads a year. It's crazy. It's awesome. I want to be like her when I grow up.
Me too. Her and Esme. Right.
And Esme too, yes. Jason's here, another awesome author. What's up, Jason? Thanks for being here. Mike Roberti's here. What's up, man? That's all right. Thanks for popping in. We appreciate you. Appreciate it a lot. Angel's here. What's up, Angel? That's right, Triple B. Mike knows what I'm talking about, DDP. Josh had already overbooked. What's up, man? Thanks for being here. We got Bill Adams at Willow Wraith Press. What's up? I hope you don't have any enemies in here, my friend.
I just gotta say that Bill's the book one cover, God's Blood Tragedy. It was probably the prettiest cover. Well, okay, one of the prettiest covers because I got all of the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn Broken Binding books last year. But that God's Blood Tragedy, I went to the Niagara Falls and I took a picture of Niagara Falls because it was the same color as that book, like the very specific color on that book. And I sent it to him because I absolutely loved it. So mad props to you, Bill, for a hell of an awesome cover.
Yes, it is. The second one is too. I just got that one. Whew. Yeah, he's killing it with those covers for sure. Let's see. I'll make sure I didn't miss. We had some more people. Noelle is here. What's up, Noelle? Thanks for hanging out. I know it's late, but we appreciate you hanging out. SR Arkaway's here. What's up, SR? Thanks for being here. And I think think I got everybody so far, but we got some more people rolling in, so I will keep an eye on it, people. All right, man. So thank you so much, dude. I gotta say, like, I started this about a year ago, and before I even started this, I actually I actually got your first book. All the other books behind me I've gotten since I started this and found out about your channel, your website, and got signed copies. But that first one I actually got from Amazon before I even knew what booktube was. I just remember seeing the cover and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's sweet. And like so at Christmas time, what I do is I get all the gifts for everybody, and I just get my own gifts from Santa Claus. And I actually got an Assassin's Creed game, and I put it with that, like banded them together. Nice. That was what I got from Santa Claus that year. So I've always been interested in your books, but then once I got into BookTube, found your social media. Like I love your content that you make, man. It's just awesome. Like I said, it's sometimes it's inspirational, sometimes it's hilarious. But it's always good. And I just want to say thanks for coming on here. This is awesome that I get to chat with you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I will try to say intelligent things, but if not, you know what? It'll be more fun. This is honestly, it's how I run my social media. I mean, my Instagram channel and my TikTok. I like to be enthusiastic about books. I don't always have to be smart, right? I can just have fun with it. And I think it's what's made it so enjoyable for me. Like I've been making between 1 and 3 videos a day and posts a day for about a year and a half now.
Man.
But the fact that I'm just having fun with it, I don't really have to dance to any, I try to, have some content that goes viral and gets more followers, but just raving about books that I love. I mean, as you can see behind me, I'm just all about the books. I love my books. I'll talk about my books all day long, but books, that's my happy place.
Yep, I agree, man. I agree. I love the shelves too. I'm gonna have to ask about some of the knickknacks you got there. What's that one right to your either way? Tell us about both of them.
Okay, so this one here, there we go. This one was a gift from Mr. Pippin Took. He was in Japan, and he knew that I was born in Japan and had not been back since I left at age 14. So he was like, hey, can I bring you something? And I was like, surprise me. And so he brought me the best pen that I have ever gotten for signing books. It saved my ass at Emerald City Comic Con. And then he brought me that it's like a little miniature display of like a super famous Japanese katana. And I loved it.
Cool. That is very cool.
And then some of the other little knickknacks is this thing here. Ooh, that black thing there, and then this one above me here. I'm very awkward at this.
It's hard. It's opposite.
I know, it's all backwards. It's yerba mate gourd. So my wife lived for many years in Argentina. Her siblings are Argentine, and they all drink yerba mate. And when we got together, we were, I had been exposed to it. It's basically Argentine green tea, but with a different preparation method, to really put it simply.
Yeah.
But it was such a great drink to have because it's got kind of like a half dose of caffeine compared to a coffee. So I have that for my morning writing session. Every day I have the yerba mate, but you get like a big old thermos of it. And then you just keep pouring all day long. So you get like I do it for hydration too, because I get like a full liter of water every morning. And so I got these when we went to Argentina last year. I got custom, the one on the wood one up top there. It has my Andy Peloquin, the AP logo on it. And then the one over here, the black one, it has Andy Peloquin, epic fantasy author, on the rim.
Oh man, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I love it. Look at that. We already learned so much about you.
My story is absolutely wild. Every time you talk, there's like, oh, wait, he said what?
Well, great. I can't wait. We got some more awesome people popping in to say hi and talk about how awesome you are. Theo at Rekindled Reader said he's got to head out, but wanted to come in to say you are awesome. We got Skeff Dog, Mr. Ryan Skeffington is here. What's up? Shane is here. What's up, Shane? Thanks for being here, dude. Yes, we got some awesome people in here. All right, so I usually like to start out. I think we all know who you are, but why don't you just tell us a little quick little intro about yourself and tell us what kind of books you write, and then we'll dive into some other things.
Sure. So I am Andy Peloquin. I call myself a dark epic fantasy writer because I tend to write epic, but it skews very, very dark for the most part. I have one sort of young adult action adventure series, but the Darkblade series is the one for which most people know me, that one and the Queen of Thieves. And most recently, the Dragonblood Assassin series, which was a co-project with Jamie Castle. So yeah, basically with my books, you're going to get a lot of action, you're going to get a lot of blood, but it's going to be a whole ton of human emotion and just kind of getting to know people through the adventures. Like everything that I write is driven by the characters and their experiences in the world. So the adventure is kind of incidental. It's like you could go in any direction with it, but it's like what is the most interesting thing you can do to challenge them as a human being, and then see what they do. Like I was talking in another podcast a few weeks back about my approach to writing, where it's like you start with the character and they have their strengths and weaknesses, and then you throw them in a situation, and you don't necessarily have a plan to see how they react. You let them react organically,
Ooh, I
and
like
then
that.
once they get out of that, you throw another plot at them or another plot twist or do a change of direction in the story or the next thing. And then you see how they react. It is kind of like discovering these human beings as you go along and write. And it makes the whole journey so much more interesting for me as a creative type than if I had a whole plan going into it.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Um, very nice. Thank you. Matt at Go Read Books just popped in. What's up, Matt? And Audrey's here. She's hoping that we're going to talk about Soul Hunger. For
Woo!
sure. That's definitely going to come up.
All right.
No worries there. All right. So, and Senna said Dragon Blade Assassin was how she found you. Very cool. I mean, you've got so many awesome series. I'm sure lots of people find you from different ones. So that's kind of where I want to start. I want to talk to you a little bit about your journey. So take us back to the beginning, back when you were just a little Andy. When did you get into? Were you a big reader? When did you first get into writing? And then how did your author journey start? When did you first start thinking, I'm going to write like a real book for real and put it out there?
So I was always a reader. One of my earliest sort of core memories is sitting in the classroom where I went to school and hearing my teacher tell my mom, "Oh, he's 5 years old and he's reading a dictionary." Did I understand what the dictionary said? No, but boy, I felt smart pretending to. But I've always identified as kind of the reader type. And I broke my arm when I was 7, and then the other arm when I was 12. And so
Geez.
while everybody was out, playing and having fun and doing sports, I was in a cast. So I ended up doing a lot of reading during that time. So I found one of my still all-time record favorite birthday gifts was the complete works of Sherlock Holmes that my dad gave me when I was 10 years old. And I actually tracked down the same edition and I got it for my shelf. You'll see
That's cool. Which
it's
one is
right
it?
behind me, right next to that big one right there.
Yep.
That is the exact same edition that
That's
I got
cool.
when I was 10 years old,
Ah,
because it was so basically I went from reading Sherlock Holmes to Tarzan to John Carter of Mars to
Oh,
Conan the
nice.
Barbarian. And that's how I found fantasy, and
Dang.
I've never gone back since.
Yeah. Oh man.
But then
That's a great heavy hitter list to start getting into reading with.
I mean, John Carter of Mars is still one of the greatest fantasy-esque series
Mhm.
of all times. The movie did not do it justice because I
No.
mean, that man and his jumping and his sword fighting and his Martian chess and all that cool shit.
Oh yeah. It was awesome. Oh man. So cool. All right. So
Um,
you were a big reader.
Yeah, and I had a teacher, a grade school teacher, who was incredibly passionate about the arts and the sciences, which are like diametric opposites. But I found his passion for both of those infectious, so I loved doing the science fairs and the art fairs and all of that. And we did a lot of creative writing courses where there were times when he would just take us on a walk off the school grounds, and he'd be like, all right, there's a tree, write a haiku. I was living in Japan at the time.
Oh, man.
So it was, write a haiku, or, all right, we're going to go walk for an hour, pick something on the walk to write a poem about, or to write a little story about. And so when, that kind of just made me want to start doing it, because it started training me to think creatively about that kind of stuff. So I found that I really enjoyed it. And it wasn't until I was about 15, and this is the days before everybody had internet. Like, we had dial-up, right?
Right.
So it was like, one computer in the whole house had internet, no video games. I had Microsoft Word and Microsoft Paint, and I am a terrible artist. So I ended up writing what is essentially the world's shittiest ripoff of Jason Bourne, Mission Impossible, Fast and the Furious, and like every Chinese martial arts movie ever, like all packed together in one thing.
That sounds awesome, man.
Well, you know what? It's every 15-year-old boy's just wet dream of a book, and I loved it. I loved doing that writing so much, because it was like, holy shit, he's snowmobiling down a mountain and firing an Uzi at people who are chasing him. Just such a crappy book, but it really showed me how much I loved it, because for the time that I was writing, nothing else mattered. I was I was there. And Bill asks, where can we get this story? Yeah. This story has been very deleted. Every trace has been erased from existence.
Dang it.
Yeah, it was not a good story. But it was so much fun to write. So then when I was 17, 18, 19, I kind of tinkered off and on. But then 19 years old, Halloween of whatever that year was, I wake up at like 2:00 in the morning, and I have this image of basically a bunch of hooded men in cloaks standing around an altar sacrificing a child. And I was like, what is this? So I woke up, and I sat down, and I wrote this whole thing, this whole short story in an hour, and I got the chills. I was like, oh, I loved it. And then I sent it to somebody who had a comic book publishing company, and she was like, oh, this is awesome. I want to turn it into a comic book. So I was like, this is so cool.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And that was kind of the validation that, okay, this is something I could explore. And the fact that it skewed so dark. I mean, my path was set from a young age. I was thinking about children being murdered on it. But that was it. It was so much fun to write the moodiness and the darkness and the tension and the horror and all of that, so that when the story turned and you got that epic, satisfying ending, it felt so much more impactful and rewarding. And that just basically set me on the path to loving, as someone up in the comments says, break stuff.
Yeah. That was a good one. Oh man, there's so many comments. We gotta hop in chat. I'm trying to go back to see who said that, but who who you were. Tell us who said it. That's awesome, man. That's pretty funny that you started with the dark stuff so young. But hey, you know what you liked?
Yeah. So Conan the Barbarian is kind of to blame for that, and then Lies of Locke Lamora. I was sitting on a bus, just like, I don't know, an 8-hour bus ride, between cities in Mexico where I was living. And I had gotten my hands on kind of library copies of Conan the Barbarian, but I had run out. And then a friend of mine who had read and had written stuff that I really enjoyed, he recommended the Lies of Locke Lamora. So I started listening to it, and it opens with two old dudes talking about murdering a child. And I was like, what is going on? And I did not blink for the rest of that book, because it was just mind-blowing. And it was just that was the way that they delved into the darkness, and the way that they just made me hurt with those plot twists.
Oh yeah.
Like, I still haven't forgiven him for Bug, and then what he does in book 2. Like, it was so eye-opening for me. Like, he made me feel so much by doing this. I'm addicted to that now. That's what I need to do. I need to make you hurt.
Well, I think that's that you've been successful with people that have read all your books. I'm just getting started. I've read book one, but I
Okay.
can only imagine what you're gonna do to me by the time all is said and done. We got some more awesome people popping in. Author GJ Greg Terrell, what's up, man? Thanks for being here. Mark at Avid Book Junkie, no problem. We all got time to play some Black Ops, man. That's good. That's good. And then I saw the Wizard popped in. Andrew at Andrew's Wizardly Reads. What's up, my friend? Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. All right, so yes, we know that Andrew is not a fan of Lamar, but that's all right. We still love you, man. All right, so which was your first big book that out of your series that you published, like of your ones that you have out now? Which one was the first one that kind of started it all for you?
The Darkblade series. So originally, the
That's what I thought.
original incarnation was called Blade the Destroyer. That was the
Oh,
first, the
okay.
title of the first one, and the series was The Last Bucellari, which is what he is. And I was shopping around for an agent, and then I found a small press that published it, and they did a really good job of editing and all of that. But then by the time I got to the second book out, which was basically a year later, because publishers take the time, I was like,
Right.
okay, in that year, I have written 3 more books. Now I did that math: 5 years, 5 books published, but 15 written. There is just no way that I can go that
Oh
slow.
yeah. Right.
So it kind of led me to do the self-publishing thing because
Mhm.
I could go at my own speed.
Yeah.
And then when I got the rights back to the series, the Blade of the Destroyer and all of them, I republished that as Hero of Darkness. That was the series that I would say put me on the map. It sold, I don't know, 100,000 copies or something in the first few years
Wow.
until I released it as Darkblade,
Yeah.
and it's
Wow.
it's
Okay.
sold many more since.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you've always written fast, even from the start, then.
Yeah, so I think the first Darkblade book took me about 6 months to write,
Okay.
and then the second one was about 3 months, and
Wow.
then probably 2 months after that. The first Night Guild book took me exactly 1 month because I was doing it as
Wow.
part of a like a writing challenge or competition or course or something like that.
Okay.
And then writing the second book, I think was six weeks, and then the third book was about a month because my God, I had so much fun with that book. Someone asked me in my I didn't and asked me anything on
Yeah.
Instagram yesterday, and one of the questions was, what have you had the most fun writing? What scene?
Oh wow.
And there is this one chapter in Queen of the Night Guild where Alana's in chains and she's yelling at the guy who's kind of been her antagonist
Yeah.
inside the Night Guild for 2 books. And I wrote about 2,000 to 2,500 words in 1 hour because it was so much fun to
Dang.
release all of that pent up rage
Oh
at
yeah.
this fucker.
Oh man. Well, yeah, you've been building him up for a long time.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So what I think was cool one of the times I reached out to you when I was buying your books, I had not realized that these were all interconnected, all your different series, which I think is pretty cool that they're all kind of in the same world, right? So, did you always have that plan, or did when you came up with some of these ideas, were they not going to be connected at first, but then you decided to make them all in the same story world?
So I wrote the first Darkblade book, the first 2 books of what became
Mhm.
Darkblade, and then I signed up for this writing course, and I realized, you know what, I had set up this other cool city about 10 days away from the Hunter city. Why not set the Thief series there? I loved, Marvel Comics got me into being a writer for real because I loved, Wolverine popping up with the
Oh yeah,
Avengers or
yeah,
Spider-Man teaming up with the Fantastic Four. So I was
yeah.
like, that's what I want to do. I want to do that because I want people to be like, oh, there's more in this world. I love when there is a world and I am introduced to it and I can just live there. I don't have to go anywhere else. I don't have to learn anything new. It's the same gods, the same cultures, all of that. I will
That's
live there forever. So that's what I wanted to do with mine, because I had already done all the world building in that. And then after that, The Heirs of Destiny was written as a sequel spin-off to both series, the Queen of Thieves and Darkblade.
Okay.
And then Silent Champions. And by that point, it just made sense to
Mhm.
keep setting it into my world. But also,
Yeah.
I had set up this whole war mentioned in the Queen of Thieves series, and I had written a short story that was actually part of the Different Not Damaged
Oh,
short
yeah.
story collection, where I had set this whole war across the ocean. So I was like, well, here we go. We're at war. It's a military fantasy series. And then after that, the Cerberus, it's sci-fi. There's no way to tie that together, except I pulled a Star Trek, where in the second book of Cerberus, he's flying to his home planet, and he
Yeah.
flies past a planet that's off limits due to volatile and unstable energy readings, which is magic. So it is very
That's
conceivable that
cool.
at any point in the Hunter's timeline, Nolan Garrett from Cerberus can crash land on Einan, and they can team up and kill demons together. Yeah, literally.
Oh, dude.
Sniper. There, Nolan has this dagger here.
Oh, that's sweet.
Right. So they're basically going to compare daggers at some point.
Oh,
This has to happen.
yes.
It's one of those, Crocodile Dundee's. That's not a knife. This is a knife moments.
Right.
This whole story is going to exist for that one reason.
Yes, just for that moment.
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. I wondered how
Yeah.
you got that book in, like, because I
Yeah.
knew you said they're all connected. I'm like, how is he gonna pull that one off? That was genius.
And actually, in book 12,
Mhm.
there is this big threat introduced that sets up sort of a follow-on sequel series. And the crossover will occur between the end of Cerberus and the beginning of the next one, where Nolan Garrett crash lands on Einan, and he finds Sereni magic tech that arms the empire of his world against this threat
Oh,
that's coming.
man.
And I see it happening in my
That is
head.
cool.
I just have to figure out the actual, the
Yeah, yeah.
movements of the story and have time to write it.
Oh, dude, that is awesome. And I agree with Tim here. He says peak author move, getting a tattoo from your own books.
Well,
That
so
is awesome.
this logo was designed by the artist Luciano Fleitas, who does the Cerberus series, who does the Darkblade series. He does Dungeon Crawler Carl. He does
Oh,
a
nice.
bunch of awesome things, and he's also a tattoo artist. So I was like, listen, I want this thing designed. It's a tattoo that the characters in the thing would get, and he's like, done. Here you go, and he did it. And so I got the tattoo because you have to.
Oh, of course. That is awesome. Well, that's what I was going to ask you next. Let me shout out a couple of people that came in. Tom Orange, what's up, my friend? Thanks for being here. And John Stevenson, what's up, John? I was going to ask you about the covers. Like, the covers are gorgeous. Now, I know these probably weren't the covers from the start. That obviously wasn't the first Darkblade cover, but how did your journey go through covers? And then how did you get with this cover artist that just is incredible? These covers are awesome.
So originally, when I published the Hero of Darkness series and the Queen of Thieves series and the other ones in 2018 and 19, photo manipulation covers were the norm, and they were very successful at the time. But by 2019, 2020, they had gone out of style. Like, the cover trends move real fast, but some trends go out of style and never come back. So
Right.
you don't really see a lot of photo manipulation covers in the epic fantasy genre anymore. There are very few, and I have yet to see very, very good ones. The best fantasy covers are the artworks. You've got the Felix Ortiz's, the Jeff Browns. I got lucky enough because Luciano Fleitas, who did all of these books, he was recommended to me by a friend who I was looking for someone to do a box set for a special cover for a box set for the Silent Champions. Felix Ortiz had done 5 covers for me because I knew I was going to do all these box sets. But by the time it got for the 6th one, he was booked up as Felix Ortiz is wont to do. So I needed another cover, and they recommended this artist to me. And then when I pitched my sci-fi series to Athon, they were like, great, we've got the artist for it. And it just so happened that it was the same guy. And then he did all those covers. And then when it came time to redo the Darkblade covers, I messaged him. I was like, listen, you've done so good with all the Cerberus covers. Like the Cerberus covers, they start off fairly simple, very colorful, but by the last one, the artwork is just spectacular. Like he leveled up so hard over the course of that year.
That's cool.
And then when I pitched him Darkblade, he was like, I'm in. And he has done 12 Darkblade covers, no, 13 Darkblade covers to date, including the last one, the one for book 15. I know how book 15 is going to look and how it's going to end. And so I had him do that cover like, I don't know, 2 years ago or something. And he's been absolutely amazing. And then the Queen of Thieves series, that was originally the photo manipulation covers. And then for the Kickstarter, I got this custom piece of artwork done for the dust jacket. And it just, I mean, it blew me away. That is by far one of the most beautiful pieces of art that I have seen. It's such a mood, the lines of the movement, it's so pretty.
It is.
And so I was like, well, this is now what my book looks like. And so I got him to do all of the different artwork. I can't remember his name, but he's very, very talented. He did all 3 of them. And then for the Silent Champions and the Heirs of Destiny series, Allegra Pescatore, an author friend, but also a very talented artist, did both of those series for me.
Man, you have some awesome artists. Did you do the like the fonts and the typography? Not typography, that's maps. What's it called?
Typography, yeah.
Typography. Did the artist do that? Did you do it, or did you have somebody else?
So Allegra did the typography on the Silent Champions and Heirs of Destiny, and then a friend of mine did the Darkblade and Night Guild ones. Yeah, he's amazing. He does such great work, and yeah, he keeps blowing me away. So I'm like, well, I got another cover for you.
Heck yeah. Oh man. Zach Forbes, another awesome author, just popped in, and he said he read Brightest Star while judging Sphinx. And that was his first exposure. He thought it was great.
That's awesome. That is one of the 2 books that has ever made me cry while writing it.
Oh, really?
And that was intentional because there's a baby girl in there. Her name is Baby Nani. And my oldest daughter's nickname is Nani. So as I was writing it, as the terrible things that inevitably happen because it's a dark, a Queen of Thieves book, it was just like, oh my God, waterworks.
Oh man, I bet that was rough. What was the other one?
The Last March, last book in the Silent Champion story.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that one it's set up from the beginning of the Silent Champions that this company, the Ninth Company, they marched to their death, but their sacrifice saved the kingdom from being invaded. So from the beginning, I knew that everybody in that company was going to die. So I made sure you loved all of the good characters. You were emotionally invested, and then you just watched them die off piece by piece. And it was like I had never cried before until that ending. And my God, that one hurt me so bad.
Oh, here we go. AAA.
AAA.
It's archives. Triple threat, Andy. There we go. We're coming
up with some good ones. There we go. We're getting some good ones. I like it.
I like it. All right. So before I ask you some questions about your writing process, you've got so many books out right now. What do you have coming in the pipeline? What's next? Is it all continuing on with series you have? Do you have anything new that you're working on? Do you think everything you do will always be in this world, the sandbox that you've created that you get to play in, or do you have anything planned outside of it ever?
So what I'm working on right now is a secret trilogy that I can't, so it hasn't been publicly announced, so I don't know how much to say, but it is set in a different world. That's not to say it's not connected though. In the first book of the secret trilogy, the main character, he goes to a tavern and there is Varamian ale. And the character is like, whoa, I've never heard of that place. And he's like, oh yeah, it's from a world away. Just a little. And then there was this really, really cool sort of twist that I didn't see coming in the second book. And it was like, oh, this would be the coolest thing to do, and connects it to the world of all the other books. So it's in a different world, but there's enough connections that you can see things kind of crossing over. I haven't yet figured out how to make this world cross over into the Hunter's world yet. Like I did that with Dragon Blood Assassin. There was no link in the Dragon Blood Assassin series, but then I brought characters and concepts from Dragon Blood Assassin into Darkblade 9 and 10, and then 11 there will be. So we'll see if when I get to writing Darkblade 11 and beyond, if I can figure out a way to tie it together. I have to do it. Like my brain is always looking for those little links.
Oh, I love that, man. I love interconnected stuff. So I'm pumped, dude. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Ah, so cool.
I have other things planned inside the world. I mean, I've wanted to write the prequel series to Cerberus and the follow-on sequel series to Cerberus. There is a very cool project that I haven't been able to touch yet, but I'm hoping to get to, before the middle of the year. Again, nothing that I can talk about officially yet, but it is one of the most exciting things that I'm excited that I've ever been involved in. So hopefully it works out. But I'm always like a book or two ahead. Like I've already got book 10 of Darkblade written and with the publisher. I'm finishing up Secret Trilogy book 1 now to send off, and it's not coming out until sort of late this year, early next year. So there's always stuff.
Always stuff going. That's good.
Yeah. Oh, and I've got a story coming in the WorldCon anthology that Grim Oak Press is putting out.
Oh yeah, very cool. All right, awesome. All right, so Audrey just asked a question. I'm gonna put it up here, but have we found out who the she is? If you have, you can't say because I don't want to be spoiled yet. Yeah,
you find out by. I don't think you find out in Protector. You get a pretty good idea in Slayer, and then by Savior, that storyline pays off.
Okay, awesome. Oh, and then she said how many books deep? There we go.
Yeah, so in between 3 and 4. And then, see, originally the series was going to stop there at 4, which was book 6 in the Hero of Darkness series. But then the connection with this she sets up something new, which promises just so much more emotional fuckery. Like the same way that you get this torture of him trying to discover who she is and finding who she is, and then his relationship with Halen and the other characters that he connects with over the course of the series. This thing that I introduce in Savior, totally accidental, it just kind of spur of the moment thing. It was just it blew me away, and it was the reason that I came back to writing the series, because I needed to mine this well of emotional torment for this guy. And there's some characters you kind of have to be a little bit more delicate with them because they can only take so much. The Hunter, I have yet to find his breaking point, and I don't think I ever will find his breaking point. The challenge is going to be keep pushing him beyond it and then seeing how he walks away with it. And this is the same thing that makes him such a fun character to follow in terms of the action scenes. There are so many times when he ought to lose. He's fighting against dozens of people, or he's fighting against a demon who is so much stronger than him or smarter than him, or whatever the case is, he ought to lose. But there's one thing he has that the other person doesn't have, or some resilience or something. And he keeps just barely carrying the day, but he carries the day, and it feels so good. So being able to do that again and again and again, and basically putting him in terrible situations and poking him and saying, all right, what are you going to do now?
I absolutely love that. I love it. Oh, this was good. Bill said his brain listening to you explain the world is like that one with all the sticky notes and the
There is a suggested reading order on my website that will tell you how to go through the world. Because it's exactly that complicated. It's like halfway through Darkblade 5, it introduces the spin-off to the Heirs of Destiny, and the whole Heirs of Destiny series ends by the end of Darkblade 5. So it's just like you got to read it away.
I love how you have that on there. It's very detailed. I absolutely love it. I think that's great. So yes, and P.S. if anyone wants to check that out, all of Andy's books and his website is linked in the description below, whether you're live or on replay. Check it out so that you can dive into this awesome world he's talking about that he's created. All right, so I want to, before I forget, I do want to have some questions. I want to talk about Darkblade a little bit.
Sure.
So I absolutely loved Darkblade. I loved the character. I loved the world. I loved how it was such a cool mix to me. Like I grew up loving fantasy. I loved dark fantasy, grimdark, all that. But I also loved superheroes, and it had a little bit of superhero flair to me too, with him, running across the rooftop.
Oh yeah.
And the disguises. It made me
Batman,
think of
right?
yeah, Batman for sure. Like it was so well done. So just curious, like what were some of your inspirations for that, and also for like the Soul Hunger, because that's so cool. Like how did you come up with all that stuff?
So the whole vibe of the character came from Brent Week's Night Angel.
Oh, nice.
Durzo Blint, right? He's this, he does not stop being a badass. From beginning to end of the series, he's a badass. And I loved him so much, and I wanted more of that, and I couldn't find anything like that. I have also loved the Punisher and Wolverine since the first day that I read them, and so putting those two together, like imagine if the Punisher had Wolverine's healing factor, or Wolverine had the Punisher's revenge story.
Yeah.
How could you not want to just watch Wolverine rip his way through, or the Punisher rip their way through? Like I think I've read almost every modern Punisher and Wolverine up until maybe 5 years ago, because they were just such great characters.
Me too.
And so those characters, they just stuck in my head. But then there was the Forgotten Realms, Icewind Dale, Drizzt Do'Urden, and Artemis Entreri. Anytime those two showed up in the same place, shit was going down. People were dying. It was the most epic action sequences that I think I have ever read. And I loved that kind of struggle between Drizzt wanting to be a hero, but still having to fight, knowing that if he didn't stand, Entreri was going to kill somebody, but Entreri really wanting to be the badass and win, and just kind of this morality versus brutality balance between them. I loved that so much that when it came time to write, I think it came out of me. Out of this place of love. And the idea for Soul Hunger, I had done a lot of research into assassins, which are very different from serial killers. They're driven by a lot of different things. There's money, there's politics, there's personal vendetta, but there's also mental illness. And I loved that idea because when I started writing this in 2013, 2014, there weren't really that many books that touched on mental illness. It's much more common nowadays for it to be discussed, as we see by Wind and Truth and all the other ones. But when I first started out, I couldn't find anybody who talked about it. And I had just gotten diagnosed with Asperger's, autism spectrum disorder. And that's what led to the Different Notch Damaged story collection. I wanted to illustrate that people who had gotten, diagnoses like this, we were just different, not damaged, because that was such an eye-opening revelation for me, going, talking to a psychologist, that I'm not actually broken. I just have, my brain functions differently. There's wires connected in a different way. Blew my mind, right? And so writing that short story collection was my way of leading into that. But I had loved doing that kind of stuff from the angle of learning what drives the hunter. And I had come upon this episode of Criminal Minds where the villain of the week, he hears the voice of his father in his head. He was an Asian man, and it's one of those, typically tiger dads. And so he hears the voice of his father, very disapproving. And when he kills, the voice falls silent. And I hadn't yet gotten that connection. I was still kind of setting up the hunter and his, and that just like, boom, light bulb moment. It was like, the hunter has this magical dagger that talks into his head. He's half demon. The dagger is the voice of his demon father. It was just, it was like a lightning bolt moment. I'm sitting on the couch with my wife watching TV, and I was like, whoa. And I stopped and I go and made a ton of notes and did a bunch of research to figure out how to make it work. And that basically shaped Soul Hunger from just being kind of a Feed Me,
Yeah.
Dagger. It's where it starts, but it
Right.
becomes a much more nuanced thing
That
and a
is cool.
character that shapes him.
Yeah.
It's his birthright, it's his burden, it's his power, it's his weakness. It is the source of so much complexity that I just adored every minute that I got to spend playing with
Oh,
that thing. And I knew I was on the right track once I
yeah.
had that lightning bolt moment.
Oh man, that is so cool. I love hearing how you came up with these things. Like how wild that just watching TV and something like that just
Yeah.
sparks that. That's so
It's
cool.
it's it's the way of a way of like creativity and inspiration. It
Mhm.
is the most unpredictable thing. The story that I just finished writing for the Worldcon anthology, it was inspired by we were having dinner with some friends and they were telling us about their trip to Thailand. They said, "Oh, we
Mhm.
wanted to go pet some elephants." And they said, "You have to go to this preserve because if you go to the one in this area where there's a lot of them, they mistreat the elephants." And I was like,
Okay.
"Wait, tell me about this." And the drama of this, and it was like, this was such a cool idea because it's an easy story to tell. You know, bad guy mistreats elephants or elephant-like
Mhm.
creatures. Naturally, the hero of the story goes and saves the elephants.
Yeah.
It's you save the cat moment, except it's an elephant. Who can hate elephants? So story inspiration, once you kind of condition your mind to start
Mhm.
finding it in these places, it happens anywhere, anytime. I have gotten inspired for a poem by a plastic swimming pool that had a blue whale, a blue cartoon whale on the side. It just hits your brain in this weird
Right.
way. It triggers some creative, and you just kind of let it happen, and
Yeah.
whatever
Just go
comes
with it.
out, you go with it.
That is fantastic. I love that. Um, Audrey and Angel were talking about something pretty interesting here. I don't know if you saw it. Audrey was saying she would pay for just a huge book, like put together in the order of your reading order. That would be one heck of an omnibus. That would be like
I don't
as
know
big
if
as
you
bookshelves.
Audrey, if you saw my Instagram video where I'm leaning on the stack of books, that's how thick this
Oh yeah,
omnibus would be.
it'd be insane.
I
I guess you
don't
could
know
do
if I could
digital.
lift it.
Oh man, that would be something. All right, so that is awesome stuff. Thanks for sharing that with us. So writing process, I loved how you were talking earlier about how you put characters into these situations and you kind of let them show you what happens. You find out as you're writing, which is so cool. So do you consider yourself, on the spectrum of plotter versus pantser? Are you more towards the pantser, or are you kind of like right in the middle? Do you still plot things out, but then you allow that creativity to happen while you're writing?
I skew harder towards the plotter because I need to know what's coming
Hmm.
so I can set the pieces in place. But
Yep.
I think I really have the plot, which is just story elements. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily deal so much with the personal growth or the emotional journey. I kind of let that happen because as that's happening, it often takes the story in unpredictable ways, or the character makes choices that I hadn't expected. So I definitely leave plenty of room for that organic writing to happen. And always it leads to the most interesting things. So many of the
Oh
character
yeah.
choices that I make, or the big world changing choices, it was like I never would have seen it coming, but I'm in the moment and I'm just typing away, and then some idea hits and you just follow through with it and then you figure it out afterward. But because I've trained my brain, like I've been doing this pretty not full time. I've been doing
Hmm.
it full time since about 2018, but I've been doing it pretty consistently every day since about 2014. So that's over
Okay.
10 years of
Yeah.
thinking story. So just letting my brain say, well, here's what's going to happen next, and then just following along and seeing where it goes. It always ends up in the most interesting places.
Oh, so cool. Um, you were talking about how earlier when we were talking about the knickknacks and you were talking about your routine. So I'm guessing, especially now that you're doing it full time for so long, do you have like, do you always write in the morning at the same time every day? Do you write at different times? Do you set daily writing goals, weekly writing goals? How do you handle all that?
So I am up at 6 o'clock every morning to start work by 7. I have a little bit of day job stuff just to, there's good royalties months and there's bad royalties months, and
Right.
my
Yeah.
already thinning hair
Yep.
cannot handle bad royalties months, if you know what I mean. So I have a little bit of, day job to keep the income
Yeah,
steady
yeah,
on those
yeah,
low
yeah,
months.
yeah.
So that is done by typically 8:30. Go
Okay,
downstairs,
nice.
have some breakfast, take my mind off of
Hmm.
work. Like I'm cooking breakfast, so I'll have something, my wireless headphones, watching a TV show to kind of clear my brain
Yeah,
and, entertain, but also it just kind of comes with ideas, or I start thinking
yeah.
in that direction.
Hmm.
And then by 9:30, 9:45, I'm sitting down at my desk to write till 11:30, and that's time for social media. I film videos, I edit videos, I do the usual admin stuff. Then I read from 1 to 2. I've
I
made it a
love.
point to read every day because
Mhm.
it gives my eyes a break. I end up falling asleep for 20 minutes, power nap, but also it kind of refills my creative tank and makes it possible to, to be on Instagram and say, I read this
Yeah,
book.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, turns out you actually have to read the damn things.
Right? What do you know?
Yeah. And
Oh,
then and then it's making coffee and back to work at 2:30, done by hopefully 4. Gym, more work stuff. Evenings are a little bit more flexible.
oh man, that is cool. You are living the dream, my friend. That is
Yeah.
fantastic. That is
It
awesome.
takes it takes a lot of discipline
Oh yeah.
to do this. I don't stop writing until my chapter's done. So I will
Okay.
typically do
I was just
2
gonna ask.
chapters a day,
Okay.
10 chapters a week, which can come out to around 100,000 words a month
Which
at
is fantastic.
that pace.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I wondered if because I feel like it'd be weird if you set like a word stop. It'd be better to just get through a certain amount of chapters. So I like how
Mhm.
you do that. That's cool.
Well, so it's like each writing shift, I don't stop until the chapter is done because the
Yeah.
chapter is the up and then the down, or and then
Mm,
the hook to the
mm.
next one.
Right.
But
Yep.
that is it helps my brain just kind of, I step back, I take a minute, I'll go have lunch, I'll
Yep.
read, and I'll come back to writing refreshed, and maybe I will have figured something out, or maybe I won't have, but because I know what's coming next or what I've just set up, then I can kind of get into it a lot more easily as opposed to just staring at a blank page and losing my shit.
I like that. That's good advice. I like that. Timothy Wolf, another awesome author, just popped in. What's up, Timothy? Thanks for being here, my friend. So next question is when you're writing, when you're in your office, you're focused. Are you someone who listens to music while you write? Does it need to be quiet? Do you have background noise? And if you listen to music or anything, does it have to be instrumental or can you listen to things with words?
I'm definitely a music guy. It's actually the only time in my day that I listen to music.
Oh
When I'm
wow, okay.
driving, when I'm working out, when I'm cleaning, it's audiobooks because
Oh
I
yeah.
want to read more or listen
Yeah.
more in this
Yeah.
case.
Yeah.
But it's the only time of day that I listen to music is while I work, and my writing playlist has everything from Five Finger Death Punch to Selena Gomez to Skrillex to
Oh man,
Waltz. Like it's just
that
I
is
have this
awesome.
thing where if a song makes me feel, it goes on
Mhm.
the playlist. And I don't like some authors, they will organize their playlist to hit, like a certain mood or whatever. What I do is I let it go at random. So every time it's a different mood sequence as I write. And
Mm,
so it
okay.
ends up sometimes it takes my brain or my emotional brain center in a different direction. Like maybe I go from a relaxing song to a super upbeat tempo, and so I'm like, all right, let's get some action going. Or I go from let's do some action to, oh, all of a sudden I'm going down to a classical song or a sad
Mhm.
song. And so it kind of just takes my brain on a different journey every single time. And so it kind of makes every writing session feel unique in that sense.
Wow, that's cool. Now, and you don't plan that out. It just however it happens, like
Yeah,
it might
it's
change
random.
the tone of your writing. That's
Yeah.
cool. I like that.
But
I haven't heard that much. Most authors say it has to be quiet or instrumental only. Like I love that you can just listen to whatever and
yeah.
you go with it. I love it.
But I've been doing this for about 13 years. I was
Mhm.
doing content copywriting before I started being a
Okay.
novelist. And so I would listen to a lot of instrumental music, but I got to the point where I could just listen to, music with words. And
Yeah.
then I found that the words could sometimes amplify what I was doing. So, you know, you've got songs that contribute to the mood of a story. For example, the theme of Darkblade is Five Finger Death Punches, I'm on the wrong side of heaven and the righteous side of hell, right? It's
Nice.
the perfect descriptor for him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so listening to that, and there's this feeling to it. So you're like, okay, lean into that. And then something else comes on, you know, Disturbed's Prayer or Stricken, or, you know, something like that. And it's like, all right. And then one of my current favorite songs is Sucker from the season 2 of Arcane. And there is just something really kind of grungy and soulful about it that I love. And so I'm like, all right, let's lean into that a little bit. And so the music takes me on this really interesting journey, and letting it happen and listening to the lyrics kind of off and on as I write, it shapes the story in a way that I don't think silence ever would.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. We have another couple people pop in. We got Blake from Books with Blake. What's up, my friend? And author Adam Bassett is here, going for that classic death metal into Gangnam Style. Respect.
You know what? If Gangnam Style made me feel a certain way, it would go on the list. It's just a fun song, but I've got fun songs that just they just hit you at the right time. I have been driving back from the gym exhausted after lifting or running or whatever, and then a song comes on that I've heard 20 times and it has done nothing to me, and it just hits. I'm like, oh, and then it goes on the playlist.
Oh, there it goes. That's awesome. All right, so we're coming up close to an hour. I usually, after I ask kind of all the book questions, I like to ask some questions where we can just get to know you aside from your writing. Are you okay staying a little bit past an hour?
Yeah,
all right,
absolutely.
Cool. All right, so before we switch gears, I always have a little game on my live streams I like to play with my guests. So I have these cards. They're 1 minute mysteries.
Ooh.
So they have a case, and then it tells you what the mystery is. And then there's some hints that I can give you if you want them. And as you go through the hints, they get a little more obvious. But then we'll see how quickly you can solve the 1 minute mystery.
See, I'm great at writing a mystery because I can plan it out. Right. I do not improvise well.
Well, then we're gonna see how it goes. You might get a new nickname after this is done, right?
Let's do this.
All right, so I got 1, 2, 3. Which one do you want to do?
We'll go 3.
All right, did I start here? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay.
The other one.
This one. Okay.
Yeah.
On the other side. Got it. All right, let me make sure that I haven't done this one yet. Okay, nope. All right. This is a pretty good one. All right, so chat can help you out. I'll read through the case and then I'll tell you what the mystery is. So here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So the case: a woman with no medical or psychological training spends each night talking to strangers who come to visit her. She regularly dispenses mood-altering drugs and listens to their problems. The mystery is, where does the woman work? What is her occupation? So she has no medical or psychological training. She spends each night talking to strangers who come to visit her, and she regularly dispenses mood-altering drugs and listens to their problems.
I'm going to say bartender.
Ooh! Dang.
Did I get it right?
Look at that. All right. Hand of applause, everybody. That was so quick. Nice, man. I'm impressed.
Mood-altering drugs. I mean, that was the giveaway right there.
That was. But you didn't even need a clue. That's pretty good. I'm impressed.
Hell yeah.
Man. Heck yeah. There's you've joined a very small list. I think there's only been like 1 or 2 other people that got it.
Yes. Oh yeah, Audrey. That was guest number 2, a barista.
Oh yeah, that was a good one, Audrey. Yep. Nicely done. Blake said bartender. Nice. And so did Senna. Nice job, guys. That was good, man. That's awesome. Give me a high five through the screen.
Digital high five.
Impressive. Nice work. All right, so I got some questions now that just talk about your favorite things. But before we go away from reading, I am interested to know who some of your favorite authors and some of your favorite books are. Maybe all time, but also like since you've really the last 10 years since you've really got into making content and reading a lot more. What would you say?
Well, so I will give you the 5 probably most significant influences
Okay.
on me. Lies of Locke Lamora just made me fall in love with the darker side of fantasy worlds, right? The Way of Kings, it introduced me
Nice.
to epic, the
Hmm.
feeling of epic, and that's
Yeah.
something that I think I've tried to emulate. But also Kaladin, like the whole Silent
Oh,
Champion series exists because Kaladin.
oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Red Rising
Oh,
showed
nice.
me just how wild plot twists could be. Like if you've read Golden Sun, you know exactly how mind blowing that plot twist was. And
Yep.
yeah, exactly. And I was like, wait, if he did that, what can
Right.
I do?
Oh, yeah.
Um, the Forgotten Realms, which is
Yep.
Dread
Hmm.
Stewardin, that
Yep.
character amazing. And
So
then
cool.
Night Angel, because had I not read that, I never would have come up with the Hunter. I wanted an assassin who did not need training, who did not need teaching, who was peak badass because Night Angel gave me that.
Nice. You know, it's cool that you mentioned Night Angel earlier. Somebody on my video, I did my March wrap up and talked about your book, and someone asked me if I had read Night Angel and how it compared, and I hadn't. I haven't read it. I have all the books, but I haven't read them. And I said I would think it would compare pretty good, but it's cool to know that was an influence for you. So that's cool.
Yeah. So the problem for me with Night Angel was that
Mhm.
it was split between Durzo Blint, who is just peak badassery,
Yeah.
and then Kylar. And
Um,
Kylar is the young adult character that I
yeah.
wanted to get away from. So
Yeah.
had
That's
it
what I've
been
heard.
the bloody and wild adventures of Durzo Blint, I
Yeah.
would have read 1 million of those books.
Yeah.
But because of Kylar, and
Yeah.
this is not a knock on Brent Weeks. It's just that I don't
Mhm.
have the desire to read young adult
Right.
characters like
Hmm.
that anymore. So,
Yes.
but you take the Durzo Blint of it all, and you are in for just the greatest ride of your life.
Oh yeah. That's awesome. Very cool. Good answer. Good answer. All right. So now, non-related to reading writing. So first question, a warm-up one, simple one. Let's see what it is. What is your favorite color?
Black. I'm
Oh,
a little
nice.
boring. I mean, blue because it complements my eyes, but that's more for my wife.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. I like it. All right. What's your favorite food?
That's an impossible question because
All right, top
the
top three.
okay, so we're gonna go with cuisines because
Okay, okay.
that's the best I can do. So
I like it.
Mexican,
Nice.
but the like real Mexican, not
Oh yeah,
Tex-Mex,
authentic.
like
Yep, yep,
yeah, Central Mexico.
yeah.
Korean,
Oh, okay.
because Korean have the best combinations of flavors. They have foods that
Oh,
combine sweet, salty, sour, spicy, and bitter all in the same, and it's
ooh,
just so good. Yeah.
okay.
And then I guess I'm gonna have to say steak as
Uh,
the last one.
oh yeah. Can't go wrong with steak.
Or barbecue because that encapsulates steak.
Yes, yes. Oh man. Those all now I'm hungry. That all sounds
Yeah,
good.
I know.
Too bad Taco Bell doesn't have any of those things.
See, I make Mexican food here because I lived in Mexico for so many
Mhm.
years that I just picked up that style of eating. So right now in my fridge I have 2 massive bowls of homemade salsa that you would
Oh,
see
I love homemade salsa.
in any like street taqueria taco
Oh
cart
man.
because that is so much better than anything I could get in a jar. Even if it's not good,
Yeah.
it's
Oh yeah.
still the real deal.
Yes.
So, like for me, I cannot eat without some kind of hot sauce or spice,
Oh yeah, yeah.
which is
What
why
do
I
you
love Korean.
Yeah, oh yeah. What do you throw in your salsa? Like what for spice? What do you put in there?
So everything. My favorite
Oh,
chili is habanero. The
oh, I
flavor
love it.
the flavor of habanero is unbeatable. The heat is a bit too much sometimes, but the flavor is unbeatable. Right now, I've got 2 green salsas. One that is just
Oh,
like all raw ingredients. So you do the green tomatoes, chili peppers, onion,
mhm.
and garlic, and salt and cilantro, and you
Oh,
blend
I
that
love
and
that.
nothing else. And
Oh,
then a one that was kind of cooked. But yeah, it just you
oh.
give me a chili pepper, dried or fresh, I will make a salsa out of it.
I'm with Angel. We're raiding your
Yeah.
fridge. That sounds good. That sounds awesome. Um,
Blake, I want to know what your pico recipe is.
oh yeah, make a mean pico, Blake. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So next up, we all know that you're fantastic at writing and social media, all that stuff. But what is a hobby or talent or something you're good at that we may not know about?
I mean, I guess the one skill that I could probably say I possess in moderate quantity is cooking. I mean, we just talked about how I make food. So I love cooking, right?
That's
I have
awesome.
a grill that I fire up, to make steak and meats and stuff.
Mhm.
I've gotten into baking the last couple of
Oh,
years,
nice.
where
Okay.
over the winter in central British Columbia is boring. There is nothing to do. I moved to Vancouver this year, so it's a bit more
Okay.
action packed. But the last
Yeah.
2 years, I have sort of set out to master. This winter was scones. Last year was
Ooh,
cookies.
stones.
And yeah, no, I following recipes obviously, because what do I
Yeah.
know about baking? But like I made cookies last year that like I brought to the kickboxing or the Muay Thai gym where I was training, and they
Nice.
ravaged the cookies. And then I went down to visit my family, and I was like, all right, I'm making cookies. What am I bringing? And I love anything that I can do in the kitchen because I like to eat.
Oh man, that is awesome, dude. So are you the main cook in your family? Do you cook more than your wife does, would you say?
She's been doing a lot more of the cooking lately because of how busy I've been.
Yeah. Yeah.
But typically, when we have people over,
Yeah.
I tend to do the cooking because she
Okay.
is so good at the entertaining side of things,
Oh
and I
yeah, yeah.
am, well, not.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's the same with me
typically,
and my wife. I get that.
typically, I will handle the cooking. So we've got my brother coming over in a couple of days, and I'll make kind of like Lebanese style chicken and
Ooh,
pita and tzatziki, and just throw some chicken
nice.
thighs on the grill with some
Yeah.
spice. Low effort, but hopefully tasty.
That sounds really good. That sounds awesome. Here's what Blake says for his pico. That
All
sounds
right,
pretty
that is
good.
that is a classic Americanized pico.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Oh yeah.
It's delicious.
I like it. Michael R. Schulteis is in here. He loves the Mexican food too. Thanks for being here, Michael.
Yeah.
So all right, that is awesome. Did you always love
I,
cooking, like even back in the day,
yeah.
like when
So
you were young?
when I was 12 and 13 and 14, I got a chance to kind of do like vocational education because I was
Okay,
advanced. It was advanced in my schoolwork, so I was able to do other
nice.
things. And I did some like preschool education, taking care of young kids, and then culinary education. And I was cooking under a former Japanese chef, and I learned so much from her and loved cooking. So I've kind of ever since I've always kind of kept a hand in it, because I also come from a very competitive, food loving family where we will compete nicely to see who will cook the Christmas dinner, or where we're doing Christmas dinner. Or
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not I'm not the most opinionated one in the family, so I will typically hold back. I have one brother who's like full steam ahead. He's gonna do the meal every time.
That's awesome. Oh man. Senna saying she doesn't even own a kitchen knife because she does everything microwave. Come on, Senna. Come on. Your horses are eating better than you are. All right. What are some of your favorite like TV shows, movies that you've watched?
I mean, so the Silent Champions series
Mhm.
directly was inspired by the SEAL Team TV show, to where I had to not watch SEAL Team at night because I would wake up and get ideas and write them down when I'm
Oh yeah.
trying to sleep. So like if you have watched the SEAL Team TV show and then you read Silent Champions, there will be moments in there that it'll be like, oh, they totally did that, because there was this flavor to it that I
Oh, yeah.
absolutely loved.
Very
Um,
cool.
I don't have any like current favorites. Like, I
Mhm.
loved Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah.
I watch a lot of the Rick and Mortys, the Bob's
Oh
Burgers, the Family
nice.
Guys, because they're so low effort. You could just kind of let the ridiculous story take you along and be
Oh yeah.
entertained and kind of give your mind a break. The Diplomats was
I haven't heard of that
surprisingly
one.
addicting. Yeah, it's
Okay.
on Netflix.
Okay.
Um, it's basically soap opera, but at high level politics, where it's like the
Oh,
diplomats from the U.S. to the
okay.
U.K. kind of thing.
That's
But
kind of
it's
cool.
very, very soap opera-y.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's really interesting at the same time. So
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. Nice.
And
All right.
then movies you will never beat Princess Bride,
Yes, one of my favorites.
John Wick,
Nice.
and Much Ado About Nothing
Oh, nice. Okay.
and Wedding Crashers. Those are probably four of the movies that
Uh,
I
that
will say are peak cinema.
yes, I love that. Those are all really good ones. I liked all of those as well. Nicely done. Um, Molly McCabe is here, another awesome author and booktuber. What's up, Molly? Thanks for being here. Michael asked a good question. He said, "Do you feel like your taste in cooking has creative connections to your writing? Do you feel like the two ever mix in any way?"
You know what? I think contrasts really are inspired by that. So something that I learned about cuisine in the last few years
Mhm.
is that Indian cuisine is the only one that uses contrasting flavors. Like if you look at all of the Western cuisine, the traditional French and Italian and British and all of that, they use complementary flavors. Whereas Indian is the only one, or was the only one until everyone started fusing everything,
Yeah.
that use contrasting flavors. But
Oh,
those contrasting flavors were so foreign to the Western palate that they were exciting, they were unique, they were novel. And kind of learning that, it really made me appreciate the contrasts of characters. And looking at my writing, I see that I do that. It
oh
is the
yeah.
killer with the heart of gold. It
Right.
is the 8-year-old queen of thieves. It is the retired paraplegic sniper turned government hitman. Everything is,
Ah,
it shouldn't work. They shouldn't be together, and yet putting those together, it makes the contrasts makes for something so unique and
yeah.
compelling that I want to explore them. And it creates this complexity, like Michael was saying,
Yeah.
where the reader wants to explore that too, because no one has ever put those together in that specific way.
That is cool. That is, I agree with Michael. That is a fantastic answer. Well done, my friend. Well done. That was Johnny on the spot. That was an awesome answer.
Well, so I saw the comment and I had like a minute to think
You're right.
about
You're like,
it.
oh, that was good. That's awesome. And I do love that. I mean, just I've only read Darkblade, but I'm excited to read the rest. But even in that story, I do see that a lot, and I love that. That's very true.
Or like the brothel madam. The
Mm-hmm.
brothel madam who is clearly working for the bad
Yep.
guys, and yet
Yep.
she goes against type and is kind of defensive of her, the people under her
Yeah.
care. It
Yep.
just, anytime that I can have a character play against type, I
Yep.
want them to, because I want to learn why they did that. Because as humans, we see people sort of act against their better nature, or
Yeah.
against their, it doesn't make sense to us, because I have my experiences have shaped me to see life in this very specific way.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I see somebody else making the opposite choice that makes no sense to me. So
Right.
why do they make that choice? I want to learn about their contrast. And that is the most interesting thing for me as a human, to understand that. So if I can do that in my own writing, where it's like, all right, why does this character make this choice?
Mm-hmm.
Then it's the more interesting exploration than, yeah, the hero acts like a
Oh
hero, the
yeah.
villain acts like a
Yep.
villain.
Yep. I love that. Well, and I think that's what I loved about your writing too, is I think what everything you just talked about is what makes it feel, even though it's fantasy, even though it's all this cool magic, it just still feels very real and grounded to me. And I think it's because of that, like your characters act in a way like real people would, instead of typecasted, like you said. I think that's awesome, man.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
I
It works.
only know so many real people, so I'm limited.
Well, you did well. You did well. At least one book so far. I'm
Thank
sure.
you.
I'm
Good.
sure you did it good
If
in all of them.
if I got 1 out of 45 right, I'm happy.
Is that how many books you have?
I'm saying
right now?
45 because I don't want to count. Um,
I remember that post with that stack
yeah,
you had, man. That's
I,
that's
I
wild.
I
So
think it's
cool.
46 or 47 or
Oh man.
47 is coming. I
Yeah,
don't really know. I haven't
that's
counted it,
impressive.
but 45 was just a nice clean number.
Oh yeah, that is. That's good. It's good. Um, let's see. Blake just said yes. So long, Blake. Take it
Thank
easy,
you
man.
and have a
Thanks
good
for
night.
being here. All right. Are you a gamer at all, or were you in the past ever at any point?
I was, and that's a
Okay.
very big problem. I got so hooked on The Witcher 3,
Oh,
like
such a good game.
where I didn't write and I didn't go to the
Oh
gym because I
no.
was like, "Oh, I need to play just a little bit more." So I got so addicted that after that I was like, "All right, no more video games." So since
Oh wow.
2021 when I finished The Witcher
Okay.
3, I have not played video games because I would get so addicted. Like a good game, Gwent. Gwent is the game, right? The Witcher 3,
Mhm.
sure, fighting monsters,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever. But
yeah, yeah.
but Gwent, I could play Gwent forever. I actually looked into buying a physical printed out Gwent set that I could play with people in real life because
Oh
that card
wow.
game was just the best. I I discovered the entire map and fought all the monsters because I was on my way to collect all the Gwent cards.
Oh
That is how
man,
I played The Witcher.
that is so cool. Do they make real versions of that that you can buy?
People have made it on Etsy,
Yeah.
not like
Okay.
official,
Not
but
licensed or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, not at all.
That's cool though. I didn't
It
know
would be
that.
so
That's
cool.
awesome. Now what are you gonna do when Witcher 4 comes out?
I don't know. The thing is, right now I've dedicated my time to reading.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I've got that hour for reading, and I
yeah.
know that if I start playing The
Oh, I
Witcher,
know.
that's it for me.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
have to keep up with the social media stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's a must do as an
Oh
author.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna have to envy everybody who plays Witcher 4 until I hear that it's good enough
Right.
to get sucked into, and then I will.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank you, Senna, for the super chat. I appreciate that, my friend. Awesome stuff. Um, all right. One more question. Well, actually, two more, but
Okay.
one more in this realm that we're talking about. If you So this is a two-part question, and maybe they're the same answer, but first, when you were a little guy, what did you want to be when you grow up? That's part one. And number two, if you weren't a writer and things went a different way, what's the only other job that you could imagine doing and being as happy as you are being a writer?
So I never really had an idea of what I was going to grow up to be. I just kind of went through life. I have stumbled into every major decision in my life, and obviously I've made choices, but everything has kind of happened, and then I'm like, okay, I will embrace this, or I will
Mhm.
actively seek this out. So I kind of stumbled into being a writer, fell in love with it, and pushed hard at it. But if I wasn't a writer, I think there would be two things that I would be, or three things. Number one, I would be a social media book guy. I would be an influencer, right? Because I
Nice.
love
Yep.
books. So
Yep. Yep.
I already get to do that to varying
Yep.
degrees, but I think I would like go real hard on it.
Oh yeah.
Two, I would work at a bookstore or a
Nice.
library. Every time I do a book signing, I tell the people there, I'm like, listen, if I could be hired to stand in the fantasy and sci-fi section and tell people what to read, and I didn't have to bother with any of the
Oh
organizing or
yeah. Yep.
cleaning or
Yep.
all of
Yep.
that,
Just talk. Yeah.
I would die happy.
Oh heck yeah.
But
That
and then the last one would be probably I've always wanted to do a food truck.
A what? Oh, a food
A
truck.
food truck.
Yes. You could do
Or
that.
something of that nature. I know for a
Yeah.
fact that I could knock out like wraps and sandwiches
Oh, heck
and
yeah.
tacos. Like I was at a writer's retreat
Mhm.
with Michael J. Sullivan and a bunch of other
Oh,
authors, and I was like, all
nice.
right, I'll cook. And so I made a big taco feast for them, and they still talk about it to this day. So
Oh,
I'm like, all right, it's not an entirely unrealistic. I only have
yeah.
space for one passion, so writing is
Yeah.
obviously that. But
Yeah.
I have always told my wife that if I wasn't an author, I would probably seriously look into a food truck.
Heck yeah, man. That'd be sweet. Oh,
Yeah.
man. All right. Someday you might have to try to mix marketing your books into like this food truck. Like have some books around too while you're giving people food to eat. See,
I mean, that would not be bad. I actually thought about doing like a special like an ultimate fan experience where like one lucky fan, they like come to my house and they're like, I make dinner and we sit and we
Oh
chill
man.
and hang out.
Heck yeah.
My wife is like, what are you talking about? You're not bringing people to our house.
Well, there you go. Now you have the food truck. They can meet you on a street corner.
Exactly.
With the food
Exactly.
truck. There it is. I love it. Oh man, that's awesome. Ooh, there you go. Mobile book truck. There we go. With tacos.
Yeah, with
like
you have
that.
well, you can't really mix books and tacos. Tacos
No.
are so messy.
That would,
So,
and then all the books would smell like tacos. You know, that
yeah.
wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good.
I have not yet cracked the solution. Oh, Cinna said, "There's my cozy book." I actually have a cozy book plotted with a friend, which
No
is
way.
a second chance cozy fantasy food truck romance.
What? No way.
Yeah, straight up.
That's awesome.
And it's such a cool idea because the male character is so true to who I am, and the female character is so true to who she is.
Oh,
And
that's
so
cool.
we are exploring our fundamental differences in the ways that the male character is like me, who like a third culture kid who's grown up and moved around and is kind of, never really settled anywhere.
Yeah.
And her character is someone who has like these deep roots to a culture, which is what she has. And so kind of the diametric opposites, it's a great story.
Cool.
We just haven't had time to write it.
Oh man, I look forward to that. That sounds fun, man.
That's
awesome.
a someday project.
Oh yeah, cool. Well, look at how we're just randomly talking about stuff, and then that comes up. That's awesome.
Yeah,
very cool. All right, so I have one more question for you.
Do it.
There was a readathon recently in the Keymark Discord. Who was the team that won that readathon?
The Tome Slayers.
Yes,
we absolutely demolished by we won by like 5 points or something.
Oh yeah, it was very close.
It was a fine margin.
Crazy readers, yeah.
But I've never done these things before, but so it was nice to win on my first one. But now I've ruined every other readathon that I participate in because I will have to win.
I know. And yeah, we got to shout out Bill was in the Tome Slayers, and so was Cinna. They both rocked it out. Yeah. Angel, you're in that Discord. You got to remember, man. But that was a lot of fun. That was a cool group. For anybody that didn't know, Andy was the captain of the winning team in that readathon. Tori Tekken, awesome author and booktuber, was first mate, and I got to be second mate. So that was a blast.
Technically, I was the figurehead. Tori basically drove the team to victory. I just popped up sporadically and took all the credit.
You did it well. You look good doing
it.
Thank you. Oh man, that was awesome. All right, well, so yeah, we're coming an hour and a half. This has flown by, man. It's been a blast. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, no problem. So before I go into my closing stuff, I'll give you the floor if you want to shout out anything, say anything, promote anything. Here's your moment.
I mean, you've already got all the beautiful books right behind you. So if y'all want to dive into some really dark, really fun, action-packed, emotionally gut-wrenching epic fantasy, and you don't mind things getting a bit bloody, well, there you've got The Dark Blade, The Queen of Thieves, and The Silent Champions. They're all great starting points.
Very nice. And remember, everything's linked in the description down below, so you can check it out. Also, the instructions on how to go through Andy's intricate, awesome world, so you know what to read in what order and when. So all right, everybody, I have these quote cards that I got recently, and today's I just pulled out. It's a pretty good one. This is from Mark Twain. He says, "The secret to getting ahead is getting started."
Woo!
Yo, that's good. That is good.
That is quite honestly the secret to my success, is just Sit
Just
down
do
and
it.
start working.
Yep. I would agree. Like, listening to you talk has been such a blast because you know, I'm doing this booktube thing, but I also love writing and reading, and I'm working on my first book, and that's one of my biggest things is just not like thinking about it too much and letting the negativity get in the way of that. And sometimes you just got to do it. You just got to sit down and get started.
I will tell you what, the voice never gets quieter in your head that says you are not a good author, you're not writing a great story, you could do so much better. 45-ish books in, and I still get it. You just get better at ignoring it, and you come up with the coping mechanisms to get through it. And at the end of the day, it's gonna be garbage. It's gonna be garbage, and you write through it, and then okay, it's actually not garbage. You can just like, you push through it. You start. There was this study that says like within 10 minutes you will get into a flow state if you just start. And I have found it every single time. You get into a flow state within 10 minutes of starting writing. It's just, you just start typing words, even if they're really crappy words, and you're in.
Oh, all right. I got it, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Chat, you guys were awesome. You guys were fantastic. Oh, and I just want to say thank you to Bill. Said I need that book. I've talked to him about it a lot, and I appreciate that, Bill. But thank you, chat. You guys were fantastic. If you're watching this on replay, we appreciate it as well. Again, just links in the description. Check out Andy's books. I can vouch they are awesome. I've already read Dark Blade, some of his short stories. They're awesome. Check them out. Everybody, I will be back here tomorrow night live again with author Christopher G. Brenning. So look forward to that tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. I'll put the links out tomorrow. But everybody have a great night. Thanks for hanging out with us late or watching on replay. And we will see you in the next one. And until I do, as I always say, devour your TBRs. Be brave, be beautiful to one another, and be beastly.